What's good, gamers? But941 here with another, I guess, video about Marvel Rivals. I don't even like this game all that much, man. Oh, God. Anyway, I keep seeing people talking about roll queue and how they want it in Marvel Rivals, how it would fix a lot of the problems, and I'm just like, you don't understand what you're asking for, and I think that if you truly want roll queue, you have been hoodwinked by one of the least enjoyable video games that has ever come out into thinking that it is actually a beneficial thing to include. This video is not going to be hella scripted, it's not going to be really structured. I've got a list of bullet points, and I'm going to just go through them and see if I can get anything out of this. Appreciate y'all sticking around and hearing me talk about something funny. So, I keep seeing people asking for roll queue, and like, I get it, but I also think that you're dumb and you don't understand what you're actually asking for, right? I get that it's not fun when your teammates all lock in DPS and you lose the game because of it, and like, not having a tank or not having a healer fucking sucks, and that's awful, I understand, but I don't think roll queue is the solution to that. If your team doesn't have a tank, play the tank. If your team doesn't have a healer, play the healer. Otherwise, just sign yourself to the fate that you're going to be playing a game with randoms who are stubborn and would rather play their way and lose than play in a team environment. The solution is to either get friends and play with them, or get good and carry through the bullshit. It's that simple. It's that fucking simple. I'm sorry, but dictating the correct way to build a team restricts like so many different things, the key of which, like the big one that I think stands out the most, is the team abilities unique to this game. By dictating how many of certain types of characters exist in a certain game, you limit the amount of cool team-up interactions that could potentially exist through future characters or balance changes or whatever, as even the ones right now I think are pretty fucking cool. So limiting what people can and should play hurts that mechanic immensely. That's one of the coolest things separating it from Overwatch. Like I said, I don't like this game all that much, but like, why would you... I just don't understand why you would want this to exist. The devs have said that they do not currently plan on adding a roll queue system, and I think they should stick to their fucking guns. Why would you want to take away the best part of Marvel Rivals? That being that it's distinct from Overwatch. If you would rather play a shitty popular game, you could just go play Overwatch. Go do that. If that's what you want, go play that. Stop playing this one and complaining that it's not Overwatch. I could end the video right here, to be honest with you. That's my whole point. That's like the main point of everything that I'm going to keep saying. And Overwatch is a shitty fucking game. The balance team's decisions were so unbelievably restrictive that they ended up making release Brig in an attempt to distance themselves from the original balance mentality of everybody must do a thing. They must do this specific thing and nothing else. Brig came out and did everything. They kept shaving down anything that wasn't intended, net positive or negative. The only reason Overwatch didn't outright die was porn, and the fact that it was a Blizzard game. I know that might come off as a joke, but it isn't. I fully mean that. Blizzard has a significantly weaker version of the Nintendo effect, and all of their characters were mad fuckable to at least one corner of the internet. So of course it didn't outright die, despite the balance team's best efforts to do so. Getting pissed on and ranked because somebody was a stubborn baby sucks, but like team-reliant games will always have the games that matter with people that don't problem, where shitty people are going to be shitty, and players won't be up to the task of winning the match that they get thrown into sometimes. Roll queue doesn't fix that. Gamers will continue to be gamers, good, bad, and toxic. Just because you are now supposed to play a healer doesn't mean you're going to be a good healer. Doesn't mean you're going to want to play a healer. You're going to have people queuing into support, playing Cloak and Dagger, and staying on Cloak the entire time. Because that's what people did with Moira and Overwatch. It doesn't solve the problem. It really, really doesn't. And asking for restrictions just hurts everybody. Composition flexibility is something that adds complexity, and you don't need a 2-2-2 comp to win all the time. Especially with the damage potential of certain characters, like Manthus is a healer, right? But she does decent damage, and can ascend other DPSs into being like a DPS and a half, for lack of a better term, so you have an extra amount of damage coming out that you can then slot somebody else who's not as strong at doing damage, but can do other things utility-wise or tank-wise, into that slot. So why would you need 2-2-2? And just in case anybody wants to bring up that I'm not a high skill player playing at a top level and I don't know what I'm talking about, neither are you, you muppet. Get off the tier list and think more about counterpicking than playing the objectively best options. I promise you will have a better game instinct if you allocate brain power to the why over where Iron Man sits on the ladder. That goes for every game, not just this one. Like, holy shit, dude. Gamers are dumb as fuck, and they only listen to what content creators tell them to do. They don't actually understand why they put them in certain places, even if they explain it. They see a tier list video, they skip to the end, they go, okay, so I'm never playing this bottom tier character, and I'm only playing this top tier character, and they don't think about why they should play that way, or what those work, what they do that works in those team comps. It's fucking crazy to me. Dude, gamers are so fucking stupid. Like, was roll queue really a saving grace for Overwatch, or did you remember the state? Do we remember the state of Overwatch? And then roll queue came out and it made it worse. Like, everybody was asking for roll queue, and then GOATS happened, and then Blizzard was like, ah, shit, I guess we should probably do that. So they did that, and then it went from we need roll queue to I just want to play a match. Why would you want to make a game worse? Like, Overwatch's popularity and success has convinced the stupidest people that the solutions that it put forth are what you should do in this genre just because it was an exceptionally popular game that made a shitload of money. Overwatch sat on a throne that existed because it was the most marketable, it was a Blizzard property, and all of the characters were fuckable. Paladins was a better video game, but nobody wanted to fucking play Paladins. And I get not wanting to play Paladins. It's got a lot of fucking problems, especially now when, you know, the game's no longer being supported in the same way that it was before. But it was a better game than Overwatch, significantly. What do you want from Rivals? Do you want it to be Overwatch, or do you want it to be its own fucking video game? I just don't understand the desire to sink the ship that is existing in this way just because another more popular version of a game that sucks did it better. Like I said, I don't like this game all that much. I only have fun when I play with at least 3 people and I'm making, like, content, so there's a purpose for me to be here. I don't want to keep talking about this game, but, like, the smug gamer brigade has found their way to this now, and they keep asking for things that I think they're fucking stupid for asking for, and I can't resist low-hanging fruit, so I must smugly tell them they're bad and dumb and wrong. If you're not getting good games, I'm sorry. That sucks. It's the cost of doing business, though. It's a multiplayer game. It's a purely multiplayer game. Sometimes you're not going to have good games. Sometimes you have to sack up and be better than your teammates. Sometimes you have to deal with the fact that your teammates are awful people. You can try to do whatever you can to get them out of your lobbies and your games. You can try to get them banned if they're being racist or awful people. You can do that, but when it comes down to it, these are video games. These are matches in a video game with people that don't matter. These are games that matter with people that don't. And you just have to deal with that. Rigidity and structure, forced structure, not just the suggestion of structure. Forced structure does not solve the problem that you think it does. It just makes another one more prevalent. Let this game exist on its own. And, like, I've talked about this in a couple of different spaces, and one of the things that people brought up is the fact that roll queue creates a balanced nightmare. And I don't know if I 100% agree with that, just because I don't know enough about game balance and what they're trying to do. But adding extra structure and limitations definitely doesn't help. Like, it really doesn't help. Because at that point, it becomes an even more of a solved game, and a solved game is not as engaging to anybody. It's the same problem that hero switching exists to solve or deal with, because character kits are hard counters to each other. 2-2-2 being enforced religiously with no variation is a solved aspect of the game. Being able to swap on your team comp is fun. I don't like hero switching, but allowing that variety in approach based on what you as a player can do and what your character can do, I think is really cool. And I'm not the only one. My buddy Dylan was probably the best Overwatch player in my group. Now, he wasn't a pro player, but he was one of the higher-ranked players that I know. I think he's actually the highest-ranked player that I did know. And I trust his opinion because he was also familiar with the pro scene. He was also familiar with the balance decisions. He was familiar with all of the characters. He understood the game at a level that I didn't, and he agrees with me. His big argument is that if roll queue was going to exist, it needed to exist at launch. It can't be something added in later. It needs to be something that was there at the start. That way this conversation does not happen if it shows up and makes things worse. The fact that they have not added roll queue, and they don't plan on adding roll queue, is one of the best indicators that roll queue is bad. I was reading an article that talked about the devs saying, no, we're not adding roll queue, and the last sentence was like, good luck getting that 0-kill Starlord to switch off in your ranked games, I suppose. What a horrible mentality to have when it comes to a game like this. Like, are you playing math, or are you playing a game? Like, are you playing an equation, or are you playing a game? I don't know, I'm not the best person to talk about this, but, like, I like talking about things like this because it is an example of gamers not understanding what they're asking for. Asking for roll queue solves the short-term problem of not having a tank or a support in your game, but it creates extensively more long-term problems where people don't want to play because they don't want to sit in queue for an hour, so they walk away from your game so your population declines over time. It enforces a much more rigid structure to the PvP video game that you are experiencing that removes creativity, and the extremely limited amount of skill expression in place already is even more hamstrung by adding a roll queue system. That's probably the most cogent point that I'm gonna make, and it was a fucking mess. I don't know what the fuck this is, dude. I'm gonna have to chop it up and move everything around, but I hope what I'm saying is coming across here effectively. If you think I'm wrong and want to have a conversation about this that isn't just, you're bad, I would love to hear what you're thinking in those comments down below. I know I came out a little bit hostile, but hostility gets clicks, and inflammatory statements get people to comment, so if you made it this far, I appreciate you, and I apologize if I've have insulted you. Just understand, it's to play the YouTube game, and I also believe it because I'm an elitist asshole, so, Anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, have a wonderful day.